Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it out tonight. We gonna let it out tonight. We gonna let it out just like the sunrise. We gonna let it out now. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it out tonight. We gonna let it out tonight. We gonna let it out just like the sunrise. We gonna let it out now.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Thought I just heard something. Did you guys hear that? Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. I thought I heard like the dog bark or something. But anyway, back to what we were talking about. Welcome in. Welcome in. Good. Hopefully, you guys are having a great end of your weekend. Tomorrow is Monday, the dreaded Monday. But it's good to see you guys. It's good to see everybody. It's good to see everybody tonight. We'll be talking about a case we'll be revisiting. We haven't covered it in a little while since October. I went and I looked. I think it was October 3rd and the 4th. We covered it. And then after that, there was like no information that came out. So we're back to talk about it. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Tanya or TitaniumBuilt. If you guys would do me the pleasure, please hitting the like button, and that'll really help your girl save a lot of time and energy. Happen to ask you guys to do it throughout the live. I'll just go ahead and ask you right in the beginning. Rip it off like a Band-Aid. But it does help the channel get into the algorithm. The sooner, the faster you guys do it. I don't know why YouTube is like that, but it is. They should just put you in the algorithm. But then I guess everyone couldn't be in the algorithm. I don't know. Anyway. But yeah, my name is Tanya. Nice to meet you. If you like the content and you enjoy true crime, that's what we talk about daily here on the channel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon also to be alerted to new content. So, hi everybody. How's everybody doing? I saw Ladybugs in here first up. Wizard Walt was number 2. Look at that. Hey, Mary Beth. We missed you last night. Just breathe. Welcome in. Hey, Mandy. We didn't know where you were. We were worried. We were worried. We're like, where's Mary Beth? Hey, Captain. Good to see ya. Oh, went to Longhorn. I've been craving their bread at Longhorn, and their steaks are good too. I used to work for Darden, the company that I think they're still with Darden. Oh, everything is good there. The Parmesan chicken, you like that? That's my brother's favorite. That's my it used to be anyway. I don't know if it's still favorite. Still his favorite. Hey, princess, we missed you last night too, but you said you were with family. I saw that. Oh, see, that's what we were hoping. We were hoping that you guys were doing something fun like that. So, hey, Ashley, welcome in. So that's good that you were doing something fun. Probably exhausted. Probably exhausting though. The little two of them, man. I remember my nephew when he was at the age he wanted to play with Vincent 24/7, would not let him for a second go out of his sight. Not for a second. I mean, Vincent had to go to the bathroom. Dominic was right behind him. What you doing? What you doing? What you doing? It was really cute. So the last time we were there, hey Chai, Dominic wasn't like that anymore. And I told him one of these days it was going to happen, and it happened. I think he kind of felt like a little bad. Well, thanks, Ladybug. It's not actually mine. This is Vincent's. Oh, look, you can't see. So, okay, well, see my little heart? I wanted to wear this Valentine's Day, but I didn't end up coming on for Valentine's Day. So I still had it, this little tank top. I bought this like 2 months ago to wear. And I was like, I'm just going to wear it. I'm going to wear it anyway. So you can't really see the heart though, because it's in front of the mic. Producing calling wrong. Well, yeah. Asher from space. Yeah, you pretty much nailed it there. Hey, Cole. Good to see you. Hey, Shay. Welcome in. Hey, Naomi. Well, we'll get to the bottom here, won't we? Hey, Lenora. Welcome in. BTK. I haven't, Cole, I haven't done a case on BTK. Not him particularly, but with him and Brian Kohlberger, we did a video like a differences and similarities. I think I still have the spreadsheet that we did for that case, for that one. But I haven't done that case, But I am going to start doing more pre-recorded. So I'm going to be covering more cases that are like solved and stuff. So yeah. Let me know, Chai. I'm prepared with those stuff. You used to open the Longhorn Steakhouses. Oh man. I worked for Red Lobster and I liked it actually. I loved it. So this one is not very new. It's been going on for a little while, but we haven't heard anything going on. And so we're back because we got some updates. So hey Jude. Welcome on in. Hey Aries. Okay, well, it's good to see everybody. If I missed you, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to, but welcome in. Hopefully you guys have your drink, you got your snack, you got your feet up, you guys are ready to go. We are going to be talking about Jessica Barnes tonight. So when we first started covering Jessica's story, her case, I'm going to pull this up because she was a missing person. So I got her missing flyer off of Reddit, so I couldn't find it. But this is the one I wanted to show. So we started this, we only did 2 lives, and we started the live on her being missing, and then the next live they found her remains. So it said last known confirmed sighting of Jessica Barnes is to be on August 3rd, and this is her pictures. And I think that on one of the thumbnails we use this picture of her in the dress. See that one, this girl, seeing this picture, you might be like, oh wait, I remember, because I think we might have used that. But she was 20 years old, 5'4", 185, blonde hair, blue-green eyes. Then we, sorry, my back's itching. So then she went missing. She was last seen on August 3rd, to last confirmed sighting. And we get to October the 2nd, and it says Greg Shore, the coroner, advised that his office is now involved in the investigation of a woman who has been missing since August and her body was discovered in Pickens County, South Carolina. Mr. Shore advised that initially the investigation was handled by the Pickens County Coroner's Office where the body was discovered. Late last night, the investigation took a turn and revealed that the victim was apparently killed in Pendleton, South Carolina. Investigators with the Anderson County Office of the Coroner have now been assigned to the case. And I'm going to give you like a full rundown of the whole case as well too. So, and then we'll go into, I have notes for what's kind of going on now, and we'll watch a couple videos because they were in court. So the victim was reported missing on September 10th, 2024 by her mother, stating that she had not been seen since August 1st, 2024. Investigators from Pendleton Police Department and SLED searched for Barnes and located her remains in a wooded area in Pickens County on Friday, September 20th, 2024. The case was initially handled by the Pickens County Coroner's Office, and forensic testing was performed by Clemson Anthropology Department and a forensic odontologist, confirming that the remains that were found were in fact Jessica Barnes. And they needed an anthropologist at that point. So, and I'll tell you why here soon. Well, you can tell by the thumbnail. An autopsy was performed by the Pickens County Coroner's Office, and the cause of death was determined or has been determined to be asphyxia by strangulation. The manner of death has been ruled a homicide. The investigation is ongoing by Pendleton Police Department, SLED, Pickens County Coroner's Office, and the Anderson County Office of the Coroner. So that just was one of their releases that they sent out for immediate release. And this is going to give like us a little more, details into who she is, who her husband was, who her husband's girlfriends were / roommates. It's a mess. Hey Avery, welcome in. Hey CJK, welcome on in everybody that I haven't seen, that I didn't see. Sorry, my eyes water not made there because it's like bothering me a little bit. Darn eye. Are you cold? About to say, I just got Vincent's side of the bed plugged back in for him, so he's gonna be living like a king tonight. We have like a bed warmer, and his side, he's like, it says air, and I just didn't get like. I was like, oh, it's probably just needs plugged in. That was like forever ago. So he's probably excited. So Blunt Force Media has been on this case since it happened. They actually had like an interview with the 3 suspects before they were named as suspects. And so we're going to read over kind of what they were working on, like, their timeline. And then we'll go over, and I have notes to get us caught up until now. But this was put out on October the 8th, but it was updated February the 6th. So, and I tried to play, like, I was going to play the article. I can't play articles. It just sounds too, like, I don't know. I have to just read it. So let me actually put my glasses on. I haven't worn these in, it's been like a while, y'all. And while I'm putting my glasses on, if you guys don't mind just hitting the like button, it really would help. Did anybody else get snow? Oh, I don't know. Was there someone say JK? I bet you there was a whole bunch of people. I went in there like a wrecking ball because that woman's nuts. I should have did a review on that. I might have to tomorrow on my other channel. She was like, this is like Summer's, I don't want this to be like Summer's case and nobody follows it. And I'm like, well, why don't you cover Summer's case then? Like, I told Vince, I was like, I'm trolling. He's like, whose chat are you in? Sorry to take a side, we just kind of went sideways there. But yeah, I was in Jennifer Calvin Doppler's live earlier, and I was saying all the things that came to my mind. because she was not very wasn't being very smart about stuff. And she's ex FBI, you know? Hey, Cynthia. Yeah. So I'm just like, oh, yeah. I was like one of those, like, you have tornadoes? We got snow. Yeah. She wasn't being very professional. And like, I didn't like that. I've been on a kick lately, actually. I was on Twitter. I was on Twitter yesterday man, go me, I guess. I'm just been on a kick. I'm not really covering the case, but I'm like still following it, like I'm following the crap show that it's become. I mean, really, it's really sad. And now people that have credentials are going to be involved in it. So these are the 3 lovely people that have been arrested in connection with the murder of Jessica Barnes. So we got Brandon Barnes, Kendall Mims, and Victoria Tippett. And it says here that, Barnes was a 20-year-old woman from Pendleton who went missing more than 2 months ago, and way more than that now, but this was back when this was written. Jessica was last seen on August 1st, 2024, in a video showing her leaving her mother's home with her husband, Brandon Richard Barnes. The video marked the last time Jessica was seen alive by her family. She was there to collect belongings she had previously left while Brandon waited in his car parked on the street. Brandon Barnes, 21, along with Kendall Faith Mims, 20, and Victoria Lee Tippett, 20, were taken into custody on Tuesday following a swift operation by law enforcement. Chief Robert Crosby confirmed the arrest late Tuesday, noting that all 3 are being held in the Anderson County Detention Center awaiting bond hearings. And we listened to their bond hearing on our live that we did on this case. So I think like the second day, maybe. So this is her troubling disappearance. Jessica's family reported her missing on September 10th after several days of silence following a series of text messages her mother believed to be from someone else. And I guess the reason why she thought it was someone else is because of the grammar that was being used. There was like run-on sentences, and her daughter wouldn't do that. Her daughter used like correct punctuation, but she would use a lot of emojis, and there was no emojis in these messages. You just know when someone uses like a bunch of emojis and then someone all of a sudden doesn't, like, something's up. I always feel that way, because usually it's like a certain way people just, it's like along with their penmanship now with them as the emojis or with, it's kind of like their third arm. I don't know. So it says here her last known contact was with her husband, Brandon. The 2 have been married for just over a year, and there were no prior public reports of issues between them. Though Chief Crosby noted the couple had a disagreement before Jessica's disappearance. Details of Brandon's marriage to another woman, Kendall Mims. Yeah, so the roommate, he was married to the other roommate. So he was married to Jessica and Kendall. And that surfaced after Fit News found court records. And I thought I had the court records. I might have exit out of it though. But they found court records indicating he obtained a marriage license with Kendall on July 31st, 2023, just 6 months before he married Jessica in the same county, but the 2 never actually wed. Oh, I guess they never actually wed. They just went and got their marriage license? It says... that makes no sense. Family members allege Jessica suffered abuse at the hands of Brandon. Since her disappearance, other women have come forward with similar allegations of abuse by him. And Fit News has been doing a lot of reporting on this case. There's not a lot of people that are reporting on this at all. So they had a public prayer vigil service for her on September 19th. And there's her family. And then they had the arrest. So Barnes, Mims, Tippett were arrested Tuesday around 3:30 p.m. at the residence they shared on Laurel Drive. And they lived in a pool house that was Kendall Mims's grandfather's. So that's where they all lived. So they all three faced charges related to Jessica's murder. Barnes is charged with the murder, while Mims and Tippett face charges of accessory after the fact, obstruction of justice, and failure to report a crime. Additional charges may be filed in the Pickens County Sheriff's Office. Jessica's remains were positively identified on Tuesday evening by the Pickens County Coroner Office and onatology experts from Clemson University. And then in a press conference, Chief Robert Crosby thanked the various agencies. I already read that. And then these are the arrest documents down here. So we'll read through a couple of these, and then I'll give you the new updates that are going on, because there's a lot of stuff that's come out that's what. So he did have a relationship, I guess, with all three of them in some sort of form or fashion. I don't know. So this was their update. Let me share this with you. So this was their update that we went through that. I believe we went through everything. And then the affidavits for arrest are down here. And these are from Blunt Force Media, as you can see, because they put their watermark on it. I'm all about the watermark, but man, it just, my blindness does not like it. I have to really blow it up to see what the writing is. So the first one is going to be for Brandon Barnes. I was looking through these earlier. I wanted to see if it would tell me what he was charged with. Yeah, right here. So it says description of the offense, murder. I further state that there is probable cause to believe that the defendant named above did commit the crime set forth, and the probable cause is based on the following facts. That on August 2nd, 2024, in the town of Pendleton, at 102 Laurel Drive, one Brandon Richard Barnes did, with malice and forethought, cause the death of victim Jessica Barnes by using his arms to strangle her to death. The victim did admit to the murder after being advised of Miranda. Oh, yeah. So basically, I'm trying to see if I can sum it up for you guys in a way that is good. Basically, Jessica gets married to this guy named Brandon, and they move in to a pool house with the two roommates. Well, she doesn't know, but he has a relationship with all three roommates. Jessica, I believe, knows a little bit, but doesn't know a lot. No, Jessica was pregnant, but she lost the baby. But he did have a baby with the other girl. So they end up deciding that they're going to unalive her. And that's what we're getting ready to get into with more of the newer stuff that's come out. But they burnt her. They took her to a place after he choked her to death, and then they burnt her body, put it in a bucket, then put it into another bucket with cement. And that's how they disposed of her. And now, the reason why they got busted is because Brandon's grandfather had put tracking devices on all of their cars, because they still own loans on two of the vehicles. So two of the vehicles had tracking devices on them. Yeah, she was I think this girl, I think she saw something that wasn't there, and she saw something in this guy, Brandon, and just he wasn't a good guy. He's definitely not a good guy. What else was I going to say? I'm trying to think. Basically, I was reading earlier too, and it's really sad. Like the August 1st, she was with her mom, and then by like August 3rd, she's dead. And it's just really, it's sad. She was almost like away from him, but not quite. So he strangled her. Then this is for it's him, Brandon. Okay, so then we got down to Kendall, and then on Kendall's accessory after the fact. It says on August 2nd, 2024, in the town of Pendleton at 102 Laurel Drive, one Kendall Faith Mims did render assistance to the defendant, Brandon Barnes, who committed the felony of murder in the intent of assisting the felon to avoid the consequences of his crime. The defendant has admitted to law enforcement to helping the defendant dispose of victim Jessica Barnes's body. The defendant did admit to law enforcement to the incident after being advised of Miranda. So then Kendall Faith Mims, misprison of a felony. She did commit the crime of misprison. And it says, and that she was advised by the defendant, Brandon Barnes, of the murder of victim Jessica Barnes. The defendant did help dispose of the victim's body. The defendant did have multiple opportunities to report the murder to law enforcement and failed to do so. So basically, before I read anymore, I'll just kind of tell you what like is kind of going on, like more of what's going on. The grandfather had put tracking devices on Brandon and Kendall's vehicles because they were still owed money, I guess, to him for those vehicles. And then later on, I had read that he wanted to keep track of Kendall. So that could have been a double reason why he had it on the car. But they tracked Brandon's car going from the home, like the pool house that they all shared, to Twin Lakes Drive in Pickens County in South Carolina. He would drive like right up there, and there's a lake up there, and then he would made multiple trips up there to that area and then back to the home. So they got him on like his GPS tracking device was telling them where he was going. He didn't even realize that he had it. The cops didn't put that on there. He just happened to have it. He just didn't know. So the police planned to do a search there on September 19th. They had multiple search teams in different locations looking for her. An officer ended up finding a location off of the trail about a quarter of a mile from the parking area and found something had been burnt in that area. This would be where Brandon's car was pinging. So this wasn't looking good. So they did find the remains. After they find these remains, what they think are remains, they get them checked out by an anthropologist and a coroner. And they come to the scene. And after they come to the scene, that's when they tape off the scene because they say, yeah, these are human remains. And that's when they start the investigation. So what happened was Jessica was choked by Brandon. Victoria and the baby, they were there when it happened. And Kendall was told when she arrived home from work. So, and then the two women helped cover up the crime. Jessica was placed into a Rubbermaid container, like tote. I don't know how people fit in these things. I don't even want to know. It's sickening. Um, and that was Brandon and Victoria had bought this at a Walmart with Kendall's debit card. We're using your card. I mean, I don't know. That I would be a little upset with that, but okay. They have them on camera walking out with the tote and they bought a shovel, and this was after the murder. So they bought all this stuff afterwards and then took it back to the house. Kendall's grandfather has a Ring camera. They ain't getting away with nothing with him around, with old grandpa around. You can see you can see the two of them going with the tote, and then you can see all three of them heaving and huffing and trying to, put the tote into the back of Brandon's vehicle. So they go to the location of the burn pile, like the burn pile that they find, because there's like trees and everything else that's been in this burn pile. So it's like a burn pile with the body. And at first they try to bury the body. That doesn't work. So since that doesn't work, they decide that they're going to burn her remains. They placed her remains into a bucket along with a 50-pound bag of cement. And they admitted that they then placed her remains into another bucket. The officers probably wouldn't have even found the bucket if it wasn't for them, because it was in such a isolated spot on the property that they may have overlooked it. So that's basically a little bit of what we got, and then you'll hear more from the detectives and stuff here in a minute, because they went to their preliminary hearing. They had their preliminary hearing. So we'll go through a couple more of these, and then we'll go to the video. So that's for Kendall. Okay, let me actually go back up here. It's like I'm gonna have to do a chart. Has Brandon, and then it has like, the women that coming down and who had the baby with who, and all of those, because we're gonna need that. It's crazy. So Kendall Mims here, obstructing justice. And it says, did commit the crime of obstructing justice, that she failed to report the murder of Jessica Barnes. And Victoria Lee Tippett. Miss Prison, same thing as, Kendall. Same charges, obstructing. And accessory after the fact, because they helped dispose of the body. Like, and then, I just looked him up here, but there's nothing really to look at. I don't see a new court date or anything on here. So I'll let you know, like, if they don't. I don't think we'll hear it on this, but we'll see if we do. Okay. So basically this is going to be like part of the hearings, and then part of like I'm going to show you tonight, part hearings and then part like, court TV, because they're following the case and they're following them in court. So at least we have some cameras in there if we want to watch that when it happens. So I'm going to go ahead and press play, but thank you guys all for being here. I appreciate it. Sorry, I haven't been on the screen for a minute. Jealousy, basically. Yeah, it seems that way. I know, we're so close, Mary Beth. Yeah. 2 females against Jessica. Yeah. Yeah, Victor, you're right. Yeah. If you guys don't mind, take a second, hit the like button, and hopefully this will get out to some more people, and we will start with this video, and I'll like pause it here and there for. We'll need to.
There's three
It's crazy. This case is it is crazy.
total co-defendants. They took the body down to a
So
location
young.
near Lake Hartwell, and they disposed of the body by burning the body in a plastic tote. Miss Mims served as a lookout during the burning of the body, and she also was just intimately involved in the process of getting rid of the body.
That was Kendall Mims in court last December for her alleged part in the murder of Jessica Barnes. Now this morning, the man in the middle is due to appear in a courtroom in South Carolina. Brandon Barnes is accused of strangling his wife, Jessica, to death. Police say it happened last fall at their home, a pool house that belonged to Mims' family. Now prosecutors say that Brandon then got their two roommates to help dispose of his wife's body. Now, Barnes admits to having sexual relationships with those two roommates, Kendall Mims and Victoria Tippett. And during a chance meeting, Brandon Barnes was interviewed about his wife's disappearance. And this is just days before he became a suspect in her murder. He spoke to Troy Stiles about his last words to his wife.
She cried and told me she loved me. But I didn't think nothing of it. I just thought it was happy tears. I gave her a hug and said, it's going to be okay. We're gonna get through what you're going through. We're going to get you help if you need it. I'm here for you. I'm supportive. And she knew I had to go to work because money, us, we never had stuff, so we had to work for stuff growing up. So other kids, they have it a little easier and a little boost. We didn't have a boost in life. And I was supporting a baby in Kendall, and Kendall started working, which helped a lot. I was just trying to set a goal of getting us out of the house so me and her could start a life together. And Kendall knew that after the end of the year, I would separate to be with Jessica. And I would definitely visit my little girl when I can.
So that was the plan?
That was the plan, was to have a life with Jessica. Her mom always thought it wasn't. Her mom never believed. It was always judgmental. I always wanted a life with Jessica. I wanted it just to be me and her. But I was always broke. I didn't have no money. Couldn't afford a house. I didn't have good credit.
I hear a lot of me and I. A lot of me, and I.
just wish I could have gave her the world.
You know, it seems based on his interview with Troy that this guy was all about making excuses. I'm going to play a little bit more of what he said for you now. Take a listen.
I was traumatized as a kid and stuff, and my childhood was never really, I wasn't raised proper. I wasn't taught, hey, this is wrong, this is right. But I grew up knowing what I knew that was wrong and right, but I wasn't disciplined growing up much. But after Catherine, I chose for a better life, and that was what I was going for, and I've been doing good. The only problem I have is a big sex addiction, and that's one thing I learned when I was going through my alleged punishment in jail with Catherine. And there was a class in there about it, and I didn't even know it was even a thing until later when I got out and I started getting a little older, and I started realizing, you got a problem with sex. But I really thought nothing of it. I thought it was normal. But deep down, it ruins relationships.
My goodness, this guy making all kinds of excuses. He was traumatized as a kid. He's a sex addict. And remember, at this point in time, when he's talking to Troy, Jessica is still missing, and he has not been charged with her murder. So let's bring back in journalist Troy Stiles. He's also the family spokesperson now.
If you're like a sex addict, right? Like, I mean, no shame here, no shame here. But maybe don't get married. Because, I mean, I'm just going to say it. Your wife ain't a sex toy. So, if you want to do it all the time, you know what I mean? Like that, like a sex addict, someone that wants to do something all the time. Like, so I'm just saying I wouldn't get married. I would never get married, because then you're going to end up breaking that person's heart.
For Jessica Barnes's family.
I mean, he needed 3 women. apparently. All under the same roof.
So, Troy, I want to start with
How did he get, hold on a second. How did he get these three women to agree? Because they're not bad girls. They're not bad looking girls. Him, on the other hand, Catholic and all? No.
how Brandon, what was it like? Let's talk about what was it like being in the room with him, talking to Victoria, talking to Kendall, the lovers and the roommates, all prior to the time that they became criminal defendants.
Yeah, well, as you said, they are criminal defendants now, but at that time they were just suspects and hadn't actually even been named as suspects in this case. Jessica was still missing, and it's kind of by chance that I encountered them in the town square. They had recently just fled to Colorado and then immediately came right back. And then I just saw this guy hanging a poster and went and asked him if he was Brandon Barnes. When he said he was asked, I interviewed him and get us out of the story. And we sat down in the middle of the night in the middle of the town square. It's a small town, under 4,000 people, and you can hear the crickets in the background, and an owl shows up and starts hooting in the tree. I mean, it was just a bizarre scenario, but I really let Brendan take control of this first interview as I was trying to build a rapport with him, to try to get him to open up to me. And you'll hear that as we go through the audio. It was quite bizarre.
It really was. And love what you asked him. I want to listen to his response when you asked him about how he would feel if they found his wife, Jessica.
But if you find out that something bad's happened to her, I mean, and Kendall's in North Carolina, I mean, who do you have? Like, how are you going to handle that?
I wouldn't think like that. Honestly, deep down, I don't want to get into those thoughts, but deep down, if I would break down bad.
What did you think of his response, Troy?
Well, I wasn't sure really what to make of it, but I knew that everything that he was saying was just fabricated in his own mind, and everything was about him. Anything that I asked him about Jessica or anything about his, her feelings for him, it just all circled back around him and his abuse, and nothing about Jessica. So, I mean, she's the victim in this case, and she's missing. I mean, how would you feel if your wife goes missing, right? Well, he didn't have anything to say about his emotions about her being missing. He just had to say about his emotions, about how the people were looking at him in the town, and just really what people's perspective was of him. He didn't care anything about Jessica being missing.
Wow. Troy, what is Jessica's family thinking about all of this, about what is this sick, disgusting plot, if you will? We have a homicide and we have a cover-up, and police have charged them all. What is the family's reaction?
Julie, they burned her body completely, and they don't have all of Jessica back yet. She's evidence in this case. And so as we proceed into these hearings, which is the first time Brandon and the other defendants in this case have actually been into the courtroom, it's jarring for the family. The only thing they have left of Jessica is her Bible, which Brandon found a letter in her Bible addressed to him that she wasn't supposed to find for 10 years. But the family is riveted in this case. They're horrified at how she died, the abuse that led up to her murder, and the fact that they saw her go through all of this abuse, and to know that she died at the hands of Brandon Barnes, her abuser. It's just shaking.
Brandon, it's hard not to cry tears when you hear what you just said, that all the family has is her Bible.
Yeah, Julie. I mean, he burned everything that she had, all of her possessions. Jessica had actually left Brandon the night before. He said he didn't want her anymore, and she left. She had it. She went to her mom's house, and her things were on her porch, and they actually transported Jessica to the hospital. And she should have been under a psychiatric hold, but she wasn't. And Brandon was able to catch back up to her. He took her to his house, and then we learned that he actually murdered her the next day. So it's horrifying, and it seems that it could have been prevented. There were so many warning signs in this case. You know, she actually was pregnant before this murder and lost her baby to fetal decomposition. But many have alleged that he beat the baby out of her, and we don't have any evidence of that. And of course, he's not charged in that as a crime or as a suspect. But there's so much abuse in this case, Julian. What we're learning is that fatal strangulation is a common occurrence. And if you have ever been strangled by your partner, you're 800 times more likely to die by homicide. So this is something that is you know, in all of our headlines across the country. And South Carolina is the only state in the nation that doesn't have legislation to support non-fatal strangulation, which we need very desperately in South Carolina.
Wow. You know, that's a segment for another day. I'm so glad you mentioned that, Troy. Certainly a sign of lethality in a relationship, as you said, if there's strangulation. Tell me, when we think about these other two women, let's go through them. So talking first about Kendall and then Victoria. Brandon has a child with Kendall, but my understanding, Troy, he lied to his wife, Jessica, and said that the baby was his niece because he lied and said that Kendall was actually his sister. Do I have that right?
You do, Julie. In fact, Kendall lied as well and kept the front up that she was his sister. And then Jessica later, of course, found out that the child that she was giving birth to was in fact Brandon's. So, you know, that's what I think has captured everybody's attention is, you know, the people in this case, the characters and them living together and that sort of thing. And Brandon is like this playboy. But, you know, all Jessica wanted to be was a good.
Why do they all look like they're getting ready to get their hair chopped off? I just realized that. Does anyone know that? Is anyone from South Carolina in the building that knows their jail system? Because I just noticed that they all look like they're going to the barber.
Wife. And the only thing she wanted, I mean, she had this whole list of things that she wrote out that she wanted to give. And the only thing she wanted was one thing, that was to be loved. And Brendan wouldn't do that. So as far as Kendall goes, you know, Kendall, she's a great girl. You know, she's smart. She wants to be a prostheticist, and, you know, she had plans of going to college, and she knew exactly what she wanted to do. And Julie, the question's out there, is she a victim too? So victimization can cause a lot of times people to become suspects or criminals. So, you know, while she's charged in this case with misprision of a felony and obstruction of justice, we're not sure that she's not a victim herself.
Oh, that's an interesting take. Troy, I appreciate that. And when you look at this from Jessica's perspective, because it seems weird as we look at it from the outside, these people living together and he's having sex with all of them. But from Jessica's perspective, she's convinced Kendall is his sister and the baby is her niece. And then Victoria's her friend, right? Troy, Victoria was actually Jessica's friend first.
No. So Kendall and Brandon lived together first, and then Victoria was kind of the fresh person on the scene. Victoria was only there for just a few weeks before this murder occurred. So I think that was a dynamic that caused the abuse and possibly, you know, the relationship to shift so much there when it did. And in a second interview that I conducted with them, they kind of elaborate deeper into that. But yeah, Kendall was there first, and they actually lived in Kendall's grandfather's pool house. And I think Kendall's family felt like this was a safer situation for Kendall to be in, where she could be, you know, under the eyes of her grandfather, who actually played a very instrumental role in, you know, tracking them, you know, along with, you know, he placed trackers in the car and he was able to give that as evidence to authorities. And that's how we were actually able to locate her body. But yeah, I mean, Victoria kind of showed up right before Jessica's murder. And, you know, my part 2 of our interview is not out yet, but I asked Victoria in part 2, are you a mean girl? She seems like a very mean girl. She has no empathy at all for Jessica being missing. And we later found out that she was actually in the room and witnessed Jessica's murder. And the whole time in these interviews, there's a lot of laughing. It's aggravating to listen to, even
Oh my
myself.
gosh. Oh my gosh. This is a horrifying case. And you certainly have so much inside scoop. Troy Stiles, we appreciate you sharing all of this. And of course, at the forefront of our reporting here on Opening Statements is the victim, Jessica Barnes. And please let us know how her family is doing, and we'll continue the conversation as these cases progress. As you know, Troy, Brandon Barnes is going to be in court this morning at 10 a.m. And so we're going to watch some of his proceedings together. Troy Stiles, a big thank you.
Yeah. What should I say? I guess I don't know how to. I don't know the wording I was going to use, but Brandon didn't show up for court. He decided he ain't going to go to preliminary. He don't want to. I've always noticed. You always notice that, like when it's time to go to court, people would be like, "I'm good. I'm just going to stay here in my jail cell." And it happens a lot. It happens a lot more than we think. I'm not going to make you go through the whole hearing because that's just that, it was a lot. But Court TV broke it down for us. So we're going to hear a little bit of the hearing, and then we'll hear a little bit of their experts. So I thought that'd be a little bit better than hearing the whole hearing, because some of the stuff we didn't, need to really hear. It wasn't like super, super important, but the stuff that I just talked about and the stuff that they cover and they'll talk about what I was just talking about is what was, the key elements of what happened today. So they're calling this secret lover murder plot. That's what they're calling this, the trial of the secret lover murder trial. They always have a name.
Turning now to South Carolina for another case that we're following closely here at Court TV. A bond hearing got underway yesterday for suspect Kendall Mims. She's one of 3 people charged in the death of 20-year-old Jessica Barnes earlier this year. Joining me now in studio with all the latest is Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson.
Michael, good evening. This is a shocking case out of South Carolina involving multiple wives, a secret love child, and a burned body. And now one of the wives wants out of jail.
Yes, she does.
Judge, I don't know how we got here today. And I want you also to know that Kendall is heartbroken over the loss of Jessica. Even though it was a weird, strange dynamic, she loved her like a sister.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't. There is not another woman or the woman with another woman. This never works. This never works. You show me a time where that works, where a man has, other than Hugh Hefner, and they didn't even like each other neither. So.
Kendall
Sister.
did what she had to do to keep her baby alive, to keep herself alive, and to keep her grandfather alive.
Kendall Mims.
Police couldn't take down this guy, this Brandon Barnes. Look at him. Look at him. Ain't nobody.
Victoria Tippett and Brandon Barnes are all charged in connection of the murder with Jessica Barnes. Police say the victim was strangled to death by her husband back in August. Her remains were later found weeks after searching for her.
There's 3 total co-defendants. They took the body down to a location near Lake Hartwell, and they disposed of the body by burning the body in a plastic tote. Ms. Mims served as a lookout during the burning of the body, and she also was just intimately involved in the process of getting rid of the body.
Now Mims' defense team is claiming that she was a victim of emotional and sexual abuse. Her family making this emotional plea to the judge. Take a listen.
My sweet daughter was also a victim who happened to survive this monster, his path of destruction. He was abused and tortured in every possible way, just trying to survive. She had to fight for not only her life, but her precious child's life.
Kendall, a quiet, naive spirit, introverted, and finding it hard to speak up for herself, became a victim of a narcissist sociopath who deceived her, came into our home and stole her away as he has done to so many others. Please have mercy and let our girl come home from this tragedy. Thank you.
Who knows what she's telling her parents on the phone, though? You know what I mean? If I was Victoria, now that one, if I was her, I would be trying to get out of jail. If I was her, I don't know. I'd be like, I didn't have a baby with him. I didn't have nothing to do with this. I don't know, but I personally don't think any of them are going to get out
Just part of the
anytime
powerful
soon.
emotional statement to the judge made by Mim's family. The victim's family was also in court for this hearing yesterday. This hearing that we're about to watch, Michael.
All right. Thank you so much, Matt. Truly appreciate it, as always. All right, folks, now we're going to follow that hearing from the beginning in South Carolina. We learned the case started off as a missing persons report. So let's get into that courtroom.
October 1st, Ms. Mims was charged with obstruction and misprision of a felony and obstruction and accessory after the fact. Brandon Barnes is her co-defendant, is charged with murder. Ms. Mims' involvement is after the murder took place, Ms. Mims assisted with disposing of the body and concealing that the crime had taken place. There's 3 total co-defendants. They took the body down to a location near Lake Hartwell, and they disposed of the body by burning the body in a plastic tote. Ms. Mims served as a lookout during the burning of the body, and she also was just intimately involved in the process of getting rid of the body. So that's our factors as to danger to the community. As to flight risk, during the investigation, during the missing persons investigation, Mrs. Mims, Mr. Barnes, and the 3rd co-defendant, Victoria Tippett, they took off from South Carolina all the way out to Colorado, and they were out in Colorado debating whether they should try and flee law enforcement. They ultimately decided to return to South Carolina. Also, as to flight risk, on the night of the incident, Ms. Mims and her co-defendants were down in Georgia, presumably, according to law enforcement, looking for a place to dispose of the body, even though it ultimately was disposed of in Pickens County. And the last prong to flight risk is that Ms. Mims' family is from North Carolina, so she's got out-of-state contacts in North Carolina. And she also has a history with Mr. Barnes, the defendant charged with murder. She has a history of basically up and leaving her family and losing all contact with them, which we think is concerning to flight risk. And if I could go back to danger to the community one time, Your Honor, she also has a small child. I believe Ms. Wise said that the child was 9 months old, currently is 9 months old. The small child was present at the time of the murder, and the small child was allowed by Ms. Mims to continue to live with Mr. Barnes for weeks after the murder, which we thought was an extreme danger to that child. So, Judge, that's why the state would oppose bond this time.
Is there a representative of the victim's family who wishes to address the court?
Yes, Your Honor, the victims are present and law enforcement from the Pendleton Police Department are present. But
the state wants to present the alternative in this wise.
They're just present. They do not want to present. They don't want to speak to the court.
Ms. Wise.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. Standing in front of you is Ms. Kendall Mims. Your Honor, her family is present in the courtroom, and at the appropriate time, her mother, father, and grandfather would like to address this court. Judge, Kendall is 20 years old. She is the mother to a 9-month-old baby. She is a sweet, gentle, kind young lady. I know you've just heard terrible, terrible things about her. But that is not an indication at all of her real character. She is a loving mother, and she fell victim to Brandon Barnes, as did so many other women. Judge, he has a history of domestic violence. There are other women who were able to flee and get away from him. Unfortunately, Kendall and Jessica were not that lucky. Kendall is quiet. She's used to not being the center of attention. And she met Brandon online right at 2 years ago. He love bombed her. He told her she was beautiful, that she was the most perfect thing in the world. That no one understood him the way that she did. He gave her attention. He showered her with affection. And she fell for it hook, line, and sinker, Judge. She did. She absolutely did. However, when she did leave North Carolina to go live with Brandon in Georgia, things took a turn for the worse.
Okay, this wasn't the video I actually wanted to show you. I wanted to show you this other video. I'm sorry. I'm like, wait, let me tell you, because this one that we're watching right now is a little bit older. I'm trying to see, like, did they? This is the one I wanted to show you. I just wanted to make sure it's like the whole video. Because it has like Julie in the beginning of it. So I just wanted to make sure that we were not going to watch the same thing over again. But no, I wanted to watch you the newest court hearing. So the court proceedings we were just watching, that one happened in, I believe it was a couple months ago. And she's trying to get out of jail. She's trying to get her bond, like trying to get a bond. The judge tells her no. So that's what we were going to listen to for like 40 minutes. But this is really what I wanted to show you, because this is what where it gets good. So they go into court. We'll just go like right into court. We'll just like kind of put it up like here a little bit. But this is for the preliminary hearing. So Brandon doesn't show up, but the two ladies, they do show up, and we'll get to see them in the flesh. So instead of just seeing one, you'll see both of them.
This case is very strange. Let's go into the hearing now. The lead investigator is on the stand.
Yeah, so this is what I wanted you to watch, because this is the lead investigator. So he's going to go through like pretty much everything that they found, and it was interesting to listen to.
All right, now that they all know that this incident has taken place, walk the court through their actions from, the time the murder took place until you've already testified to her body eventually being burned. Tell the court a little bit about how they got from the pool house with the body to the Twin Lakes Road location.
So Mr. Heron also has a ring camera system at his residence. You can, at some point, you can see the tote being brought out of the pool house by Brandon Barnes with the assistance of Ms. Mims and Victoria Tippett, due to it, the dead weight of the body being in the tote. It's put in the HHR. Again, it's driven around. Apparently, they didn't. What they told us was they were searching for a location to dispose of the remains before they ultimately ended at the location on Twin Lakes Road in Paynes County.
And did the tracking devices show y'all them driving around?
Yes, sir.
But they also, in their statements and interviews, explain this process.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, let's tell the court how they eventually picked Twin Lakes Road.
From what Brandon Barnes had said, it was a location. Well, they had checked the location in Georgia and determined that it wasn't a good location for whatever their reasoning was. Ended up at the Twin Lakes location. According to Mr. Barnes, it was the first place Jessica Barnes had gone on a date. So it had some kind of sentimental value to him.
The place they burnt her body was where they went on their first date, her and Brandon. And he said, let's do it here because it holds some sentimental value to me.
They tried to dig using the shovel they had purchased at Walmart. And we were able to find that spot where they had tried to dig on the trail. before determining that they couldn't dig or get through the hard packed dirt, at which point they made the determination to burn the remains. And while this was taking place, and again, it was a number of trips that they made out there. We have text messages between Victoria Mims and Kendall. Victoria Tippett and Kendall Mims. That Kendall Mims was out at the roadway keeping watch while Victoria Tippett and Brandon Barnes were at the remains site attempting to dispose of the body.
So remember, they're all four living in this house together, and Mr. Barnes is said to have been the lover to all of them, was intimate with all of them. That's what police say, even though he's married to Jessica, who is the decedent, who is the victim in this case. There are the three co-defendants right there on your screen. Barnes, a no-show for court today, but the other two women are there. We'll get back to the prelim live next.
The victim had been brutally stabbed multiple times.
The suspect commit murder.
Trial today, only on Court TV.
Thanks for staying with us. Before we go back to the courtroom, we want to let you know about a sentencing hearing that is coming up. The case of Rachel Henry. You might remember this woman pleaded guilty to murdering her three children back in January of 2020. Henry told detectives that she sang to her kids as she was killing them. And then she positioned their bodies to make it seem like the kids were sleeping. We're going to bring you her sentencing live later today. Right now, back to the preliminary hearing in the death case of Jessica Barnes. Let's watch.
Did they? So all three of the co-defendants were at the Twin Lakes Road location? Yes. Okay. Was there any other time that they were at the Twin Lakes Road location that you know of?
Multiple times. I roughly 10 times between the time of the murder and when we discovered it.
Was the car data, the tracker data, the only evidence that you had with them out there? But you also had the text messages. Was there anything else that showed that they were out there?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. When did SLED get involved in this case? When did it become a missing persons case?
No, sir. It would have been a few days later. I want to say it was roughly the 14th of September when Mr. Heron told us about the trackers being on the vehicles.
Okay. And you mentioned the Ring doorbell cameras, and I apologize if you've already went over it, but can you tell the court what the Ring doorbell cameras captured the night of the incident?
And again, I'm not positive of the exact dates right now, but at various times, Kendall Mims is seen carrying gas cans, which would have been stored behind the two houses, either blue gas cans, and SLED was able to determine that an accelerator was used at the burn site. And at some point, as I said earlier, it wasn't just a burn site. There were cut trees and placed over the burn site. And Mr. Heron has a battery-operated saw, which you can see on the camera, was taken from under the carport and brought back.
Okay. I'm gonna jump back to the bucket. Was the bucket with the remains in it, bucket already at Mr. Heron's home, or was it purchased at some point, or are you aware of that?
They had purchased a bucket at Lowe's as well as a 50-pound bag of, I don't think it was cookery, but that type of product. And then ultimately, the remains were put in a different bucket, not the bucket they had purchased at Lowe's.
And who was present when they purchased that bucket and the concrete?
All three parties were at the Lowe's.
And in their interviews, did all three parties know what was in that bucket once y'all discovered it?
Yes, sir. We would not have known about the bucket had they not told us the bucket was there, because the bucket, we had to obtain a separate search warrant following the interviews, and the bucket was away from where the pool house was. It was in a kind of hidden under some not debris, but some overgrowth that was there at the property.
Okay. I just have a few more questions for you. Between the time of the death and the time of their arrest, you mentioned that the defendants went down to, did you say Georgia?
Yes, sir.
Did they go anywhere else in that window of time between August 1st and when they were arrested, I believe October 1st or so?
Yes, sir. I want to say it was around September 14th, 15th. Mr. Aaron had called me and said that wanted to let me know that they were up in Tennessee, and he had this information via the tracker, which he had already given.
This case is just horrific. Talking with the family spokesperson for Jessica Barnes this morning, all the family got was Jessica's Bible. We'll be right back in the Hearing Live.
All now.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Ted Rollins. Good to be with you. We are tracking several cases around the country on this Friday as we round out another week here. A busy one at Court TV. We're in South Carolina. Testimony continues.
Okay, we can fast forward do this. Wait, maybe it's not. Maybe it is
Today, while we wait for that sentencing hearing to begin, let's go into a courtroom in South Carolina because there's another case we're following, and it's a weird one. It's a preliminary hearing now. Here, it's called the Secret Lover Murder Plot Case. It's co-defendants Kendall Mims and Victoria Tippett are in court today. They are accused of helping dispose of a body in a case where there was a strange sort of relationship where you had a man by the name of Brendan Barnes. His wife ends up dead. He's accused of strangling her. These other two women apparently lived in the house. They all had relations together. Unclear if the mom, the decedent, knew about the actual connections. These two are in court. Barnes is not in court today. This is a prelim. They are accused again of helping him dispose of the body. They burned her body. They burned her possessions. It is a creepy case. Let's go in, watch a little bit of this preliminary hearing.
Permission to us, both verbally and in writing, to use his login information. Following his phone call, I did log in and saw that they had made a trip from Pendleton up to Tennessee, and then ultimately they drove west across Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, ultimately staying in Colorado. Mr. Aaron said because Mr. Aaron is co-owner of a banking account with Ms. Mims. He said that he could see that they had a room booked in Colorado for 2 days. They checked out after the first day and then came back to Pendleton.
Why did they go out there? Vacation or?
What they said was they went to Tennessee for vacation. Why they went further, ultimately they told us it was due to the pressure they were receiving via social media and our questioning.
Was there any video at the burn site?
Yes, sir. So following the information that they had gone west, we had already located the burn site. And when we saw that they were returning and getting fairly close to South Carolina, SLED put a trail camera out at the recovery site. And upon their return to the Pendleton, one of the first things they did was went out to the burn site, and on the trail camera, you can see with the tracker information, the vehicle goes to the burn site. They get out, they walk right.
So SLED put trail cams out there, knowing that they would go back to the site like dummies they did.
That's the burn site, and where their images are captured looking at where the burn site had been.
Okay, I have 2 or 3 more questions. Was there any blood at the scene of the murder that you know of?
The initial search and following search didn't indicate anything with the various means that SLED forensics used, but during the interview, Victoria had stated that she and Brandon had gone to Food Line to purchase bleach, and there were 2 other products I can't recall off the top of my head, but they had obtained those because following the strangling, that some type of fluid had come out of Jessica's mouth, so they used that. They made these purchases to clean up that small spot.
And that was Victoria and Brandon?
Yes, sir.
And you've already testified to it a little bit, but y'all spoke to the 3 defendants multiple times between the time of the murder and the time they were arrested, correct?
Yes, sir.
And were they truthful with y'all throughout that time?
No.
They were not truthful?
No.
And they never told you what actually happened until the interviews right before they were arrested?
October 1st, yes, sir.
While Ms. Barnes was missing, did the defendants do anything in the community to sort of look like they were looking for her? Does that make sense to you?
Yes, sir. One evening, I was transferred a phone call from Brandon Barnes where he was asking if he could get the missing person flyer that the town had created, and he was told that he could print it off the town website. He also, the three of the Brandon, Victoria, and Kendall at some point met with a reporter in the downtown square area. Brandon was apparently carrying the remains of his deceased child. And he spoke with the reporter, indicating that they were attempting to search for Jessica.
Did Brandon ask y'all for flyers for her missing persons case? Was that after the ultimate date of that Miss Barnes had died?
Well after.
Okay. And did Miss Tippett or Miss Mims have any activity in regards to putting out missing persons flyers?
I don't know that they put out any flyers, but they were with him when they met with the reporter.
And that was when he was putting out flyers, is that correct?
I don't know that he put out flyers.
Okay.
He was told that he could print them off. I don't know if he did or not.
Okay. But so why did they met with the reporter to talk about her being missing? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And all three of them were there at that time speaking with the reporter. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to inform the court of related to these warrants?
No, sir.
I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you, Evan. Please court. Thank you for being here today, Officer Westcott. You said earlier in your testimony that the missing persons report was filed by Ms. Barbara on September 10th. Okay, and there was nothing from anyone else before that date?
Yes, ma'am.
There was, okay.
No, there was nothing.
Oh, sorry. So September 10th. And you said the first thing y'all did was you went to 102 Laurel Drive?
Yes, ma'am.
And you spoke to all three parties?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, were you there personally, or did you watch any of the interviews?
I was there.
And did you speak to them alone, or were they together?
When we initially made contact, all three of them were inside the residence. Eventually, Officer Middlecom and Victoria asked her to step outside with her to speak with them, with her, while myself, Officer Bishop, were speaking with Ms. Mims and Brandon Barnes inside the residence.
Okay, so Ms. Mims was inside Mr. Barnes' room.
Correct.
Okay. Now, when you got word about the missing persons case, and after you went out and spoke to the parties, did you have an opportunity to run like a background check on these individuals?
At that point, there was no need. All we had was the missing persons case.
Okay. And do you know whether or not the police ever went to this scene when
It's amazing that they haven't really looked at each other or anything. Like, these girls, to me, they're not upset about this.
you all drive before the September 17th?
I've been there.
For what reasons?
I was there in 2023. I don't remember the exact date. I think it was October. It was a report where Officer Carpenter was investigating an incident. I don't recall the exact incident, but I went there to make contact while he was out on Jackson Street talking to, I believe it was Ms. Lamar, not positive who he was talking to when I went to Jackson Street in 2023 on that incident. But he asked me to go to Warren, where I'm in contact, my body cam. You can see Brandon Barnes, Jessica Barnes, Jessica Barnes at the time, and Kenneth Williams were there.
Okay. And were you aware of Ms. Barnes' stillborn baby?
During the course of the investigation, we became aware of it, yes.
Okay. And at what point in time did you learn about prior domestic violence incidences that had occurred at that residence?
We never had any reports of domestic violence incidents at the residence.
Okay. But when you looked up information about Mr. Barnes, at whatever point that you did you find that there were hints and instances that looked like domestic violence occurred?
Not with these parties, but we did learn that he had been arrested for domestic violence in the state of Maine.
And he also had a juvenile record for something along those lines as well?
Yes.
Okay, so you said that during this investigation, you did become aware of the stillborn.
Yes, ma'am.
And were you privy to those medical records?
During the course of the investigation, we learned Anderson County Sheriff's Office had investigated that incident, had made a report on it. We do have their report.
Okay, because in those medical records, as well as the deputy, Officer Bruce State, who responded, said they noticed bruising all over Mrs. Barnes' body, and Officer Bruce State mentioned it as well. I think at least one other officer had went out and noticed Ms. Barnes' black eyes. Were you aware of that during your investigation?
We never had a report of domestic violence incident.
Okay. So, at any point in time, did you attempt to triangulate the phones between these individuals?
We ultimately, through the investigation, had search warrants, got all their phones, did the phone notes. We have all the phone information.
Okay, so you did do
Triangulation, no, that was not part of it.
Okay, is that not something that's done when there's a missing persons report?
Not that I'm aware of.
All right. Now, you said that there were forensics of the phones,
Yes, ma'am.
and did you get a warrant for those forensics?
Yes, ma'am.
And you got it yourself, or someone else did?
Multiple officers were working on it. I believe the phone dump warrants were obtained by Officer Demko.
Okay. Now, at any point in time, did you attempt to speak to the victim who had her name?
She called. Yes, ma'am.
She did call?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you speak to her?
Yeah, at some point, you back that up. I don't know that I spoke to her. I believe Officer Demko spoke to her.
And did she express concerns about strangulation?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to ever question Ms. Mims by yourself?
During the course of the investigation, we spoke with all of them multiple times.
Did you ever have an opportunity to speak to her by yourself?
They were always together.
And where was the minor trial when this was occurring?
You talking about murder?
No. I know where she was. Where was the minor trial when you were questioning Ms. Mims?
Which time?
Any of the times?
I believe she was typically in the care of Mr. Herring.
Okay. All right. So, but you said that you didn't. When you said that they were together, are you meaning Mr. Barnes and Ms. Mims were together? He was there, or did you mean somebody else who's Ms. Mims?
Typically, it was always Ms. Tibbet, Ms. Mims, Mr. Barnes.
Okay.
He was a very controlling individual, we thought.
Now, I know you said you had an opportunity to speak to her grandfather, Mr. Herring, on several occasions, and he was really helpful solving the case. Did you by chance get a search warrant for the GPS trackers at any point in time?
I believe it sled had taken over a bit. I believe it.
Okay.
Or if not, the warrant, Mr. Herring had given us permission. Both verbally and in that city.
And you stated earlier that Mr. Herring is not on Mr. Barnes' title, but he is.
He's on the HHR, registered Mr. Barnes, and on the Kia, which was registered Mr. Herring with Ms. Mims as well.
Did you have an opportunity to review the ring camera?
I did not review the ring cameras. That sled
Okay.
did the review of the ring camera.
And then based upon their report, based on their report about what occurred on the ring cameras, you made decisions about the case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, how many times have you worked with domestic violence victims or responded to domestic violence calls?
Over the course of 16 years, I can't give you them.
Right.
Many times.
And so I would assume, and I'd like for you to correct me if I'm wrong, that you've gotten some domestic violence training?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you concerned at all about domestic violence in the house at any point in time?
No, like again, as I said, we have never received a call to the Laurel Drive address for an incident. I believe it was 4 calls roughly to the Jackson Street address where Mr. Barnes' mother resided, and Miss Barnes, Jessica Bavara at the time, had resided.
But during the course of your investigation, when you discovered probably some pretty alarming information, did you start to wonder if there was any domestic violence present at 102 Laurel Drive?
With which parties? We're talking three
All of them?
females.
Any of them?
We never had any indication that there was domestic violence. At some point, Ms. Bavara, Cecilia Bavara, Jessica's mother, told us about an incident in November, probably 23, where she said that she believed Jessica had been the victim of domestic violence, but it had been a call that had been handled by the sheriff's office. So Pendleton Police Department, as I said, had never received a report of domestic violence.
Now, that's interesting. So I know that police did respond because of domestic violence at 102 Laurel. Is there a reason why Pendleton wasn't notified of it?
It would depend on the day that it would have been reported. Pendleton Police Department, after 2 a.m. Saturday morning until 8 a.m. Monday morning, Pendleton Police Department is off duty. So if it occurs Saturday, Sunday into Monday morning, it's the Anderson County Sheriff's Office response.
All right, again, as the preliminary hearing, Kendall Mims, Victoria Tippett, both accused of helping Brandon Barnes burn and dispose of his dead wife, Jessica Barnes. Brandon is accused of strangling her to death. These two are in trouble for their actions after the murder. And you can tell, each have their own attorneys. Everybody gets a crack at this officer. You can see what the defense is here. They were controlled. Brandon was the man in charge. In fact, the officer...
Oh, that's not a lot. They only have one attorney apiece? Oh, that sucks.
Or even said he was a controlling individual. We'll get you back in for more of this preliminary hearing out of South Carolina right after this.
There's 3 total co-defendants. They took the body down to a location near Lake Hartwell, and they disposed of the body by burning the body in a plastic tote. Ms. Mims served as a lookout during the burning of the body, and she also was just intimately involved in the process of getting rid of the body.
This is a fascinating case. You've got this guy who's supposedly in charge, Brandon Barnes, kills his wife, and he has these other 2 women. All 3 of the women were living together. What the wife, decedent, knows is unclear. Did she really know the extent of what was going on? So now they're all on trial. He's on trial for the murder and disposing of the body. These 2, the other 2 women, Kendall Mims and Victoria Tippett, are on trial as well because they helped dispose of the body of Jessica Barnes. This is a preliminary hearing in South Carolina. Barnes himself is not there, but boy, there's talking a lot about him, which means they're setting up. The defense is setting up the defense. You can see it a mile away. Victoria and Kendall, they were victims too. Brandon bullied them, made them take part in the cover-up, the burning of the bodies. We'll see where it goes. Let's go back in, pick up more questioning now. The defense attorneys having a chance to question the detective.
But you said that you went to Ms. Barbara's residence and that you had to take Mrs. Barnes, Jessica, to a hospital?
We didn't take her. The ambulance took her to the hospital.
And that was July 31st?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you find out any information more about that during the course of your investigation? Because obviously she was in the hospital and then you assumed that the date of the murder was either the 1st or the 2nd?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know how she got from the hospital to back to 121?
From the statements we received, Jessica Barnes had her phone while she was being transported via ambulance to Advent. She was in contact with Brandon Barnes via text message. Once she was brought into the emergency room for mental health evaluation at Advent, she ultimately decided to check herself out, left the hospital, was apparently walking around Anderson, still in communication with Brandon via phone, and he ultimately, on the morning of the 1st, drove to Anderson to pick her up and brought her back to Lower Drive.
Was anybody in the car with him when he did that?
I couldn't tell you, ma'am.
Okay. But that was showing up on the ring camera?
I can't answer that.
Okay. What about, were you ever aware that Mr. Barnes would drive Ms. Mims' car
Yes, ma'am.
without her in it?
I couldn't tell you if she would have been in it or not.
Okay, but maybe that would also be something that's on the ring camera? At any point in time during this investigation, did you speak to Mrs. Mims, Mrs. Mims' family members from mom or dad?
No.
So you're not aware, excuse me, that they had stopped law enforcement services in North Carolina and Georgia trying to find their daughter?
Unaware of North Carolina, Georgia, yes, that was one of the indications, or one of the reasons that Mr. Heron said he put a tracker on the vehicle she typically drove, was that Brandon Barnes and Kendall Mims at some point had gone down to Georgia, unaware. Family didn't have any contact with her. So when they came back, he put the tracker on the vehicle so that that type of activity wouldn't happen again.
In fact,
Okay, a little look at this preliminary hearing for Kendall Mims and Victoria Tippett, all related to the death of Jessica Barnes. Brandon Barnes accused of killing his wife, but he also had these 2 other women living. All 3 of the women were living together. Kendall Mims actually had a child with Brandon Barnes, but they told the wife that they were brother and sister, and she thought the child was the niece of her husband, Brandon. It's a convoluted story.
It is. It very much so is. I don't know what that was. Oh, well, I'm also, I don't need to put up the CCs now. They, it like cut up, it was like there.
Of
Man, it
killing
was
his
quick.
wife, but he also had these two other women.
It was just like, I
Kendall
don't know,
Mims
so
was
fast. It was so quick. It went off so quick. But that's what I wanted to show you tonight, that court proceeding. But I don't know when they're going to be in court next. It doesn't say on when we checked his court docket. I'll have to look up the other two ladies because they may have another date coming soon. I mean, they may have, another date. I don't know. Preliminary. I mean, they're doing the preliminary hearings. Isn't that for like a few days in a row? I'll keep my eye out and I'll let you guys know for sure. Let me see if I can go over to Twitter and see if there's anything on there about this case at all. Probably not. No. No. That's sad. Oh, I guess there was like an Amber Alert for someone, but they found them in Tamarack. Okay. Oh, okay. I think that's all I have for you guys for today. I'm just reading on Twitter. What the hell is this? Oh my gosh, look at this. What the heck? I guess a levee failed. Sorry, not fell, failed. In Kentucky and in Tennessee. Okay, wow. They're like going home to home. Look at this. Well, what's that going to do? I guess that's probably going to say that they like that cleared that home or something. Look at all that water. It's like not again, you know? These people can get a break. Look at this. Oh my Lord. I don't like water like that, y'all. Mm-mm. 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 Nope. Mm-mm. Nope. Don't come to Ohio. That's craziness. Look at the water. Like the road is in the water. How did the cars? Okay, I don't want to know. I don't want to know how they got to the other side. Isn't that crazy? Oh my gosh. Oh no. No, Mom, I didn't know that all. It said, let's see. Oh, I just went back. Didn't mean to do that. It was right here somewhere. And now it's not there, darn it. Yeah, I don't see it anymore there. But that's probably the same one. Flooded everywhere. Yeah. Well, I mean, even here, like we had like snow flurries. It was our snowstorm. It was a snowstorm today. Like you couldn't see in front of you. Like when I woke up, I like looked out the window because my body tells me when it's snowing. Like I'll wake up, I'll just be like feeling like I need oil. Like I'm like the Tin Man and I need some oil. That's what it feels like. And, or like I slept in a sardine can. That's what I used to tell my mom. I'm like, that's what it feels like. So, I looked out and I saw like all this snow. I was like, where'd that come from? You know? Oh, Serafina Jingles. Or Jingles. That's a pretty name, Serafina. That's sad. That's so sad. That's, people are awful. They're just awful. Yeah, I hope that, yeah. She's alive though, but mom isn't, yeah. At least she's here. They got her before dad did anything. If he was going to do anything, probably wouldn't have done anything to the child, maybe, but you never know. Hey, I'm wondering orphan. Oh, I always want to call you wandering sub, so I see them in Granny's chat in the mornings. And that's usually where I'm at in the mornings. If it's early and I'm like, I love it whenever people go live early in the morning, because then it gives me something to watch. But I'm going to jump off here. I'm going to go spend some time with Vincent, get some more of this stuff ordered for the studio. We got my desk over here, but we got my desk put together today, like the standing desk. I had a standing desk, but it just wasn't the greatest. And then like it was kind of just like it wasn't great. And I'm going to do a lot more with that desk, so I needed a new one. And then we put my mirror together, which only meant putting the back on it. And something else I thought. Oh, I did my tree the other day. It's just out there, so. Cooties. Oh, that's nothing. Oh, I ain't watching Boar Lodge. I've never watched any of his podcasts other than the one with SF, and that was boring as all get out too. So, but Tuesday is coming. It is coming. Cooties. Well, that's all they got. That's all. That's not very much. I do have cooties. So stay. Yes. Tell them to stay away. We do have cooties. Yeah, we do. Keep me updated, Aries. But thank you guys for being here tonight. I do appreciate it. I'll be back on tomorrow. I may do a day live because it's Monday and I'm like snowed in. So I might end up doing a day live tomorrow as well, as an evening live. Maybe we'll do a make fun of Betty live tomorrow afternoon, because I do have my Dum Dum shirt. I still have to wear it. Gotta wear it. All right. But I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful start to your week. Bye, guys.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze. Got